We've lost our shared humanity over a f***ing gotcha game.
The 29-minute long video.
Okay guys, it's time we had a talk about Genshin, Hoyo, and the strike because man, it sucks out there right now. And before I start, I do want to say a big thank you to everyone who I consulted with while I was writing this script, okay? I talked with union members, I talked with non-union members, talent and fans, etc. My goal here is twofold: educate and de-escalate. So a big thank you to all the people that helped me get grounded and get the facts before getting started.
You know who doesn't help with de-escalation? Paimon's VA. That crash out TikTok or whatever she made was crazy, bro.
If you haven't seen my original video where I explain the strike itself, I'm gonna go over a little bit of it again here, but you might want to check that out first before diving into the incredible amount of...
You should watch this off stream if you're interested, but things are looking really bad for the VAs, even worse than before. Wait, why off stream then?
nuance that I'm about to do.
You think you can do me a favor
this
for this once and watch this tonight as you eat her food? Really innocent.
First, this video...
Well, I mean, if there's a lot of misinformation, I would rather, especially since I've talked about the subject a bunch, right? And if there's things I've said that are wrong, then I'd rather be corrected on it, right?
video is designed, and I want you to pay attention here, to outline facts. And in any case, where I...
We don't care. You guys just like having the wrong narratives or like understandings on things and just living with it. Yes? Oh, okay.
Absolutely have to inject my opinion. I've done my best to make it clear that I'm doing so. It's not here to render judgment on studios or casting directors, Hoyo, the fandom, actors, nobody. The reason I'm making this is because I've gotten so many questions and the internet situation is so weird every day from well-meaning individuals in the community asking for updates on the SAG-AFTRA strike and recasts, etc. Stuff that most actors really don't have any insight on, right? We're just actors. We don't know what Hoyo is thinking, etc., etc. But given that nearly
Alright, we won't watch this whole thing. There's only like a couple spots that I'll check, and then I'll watch the rest off stream. And then I'll fucking get back to you guys. But I want to see the toxicity social media part. Like some of these end ones.
Me to the real tricky part, the social side of things. Rules and regulations are one thing, but industry perceptions and relationships are something completely different. I want you to understand that I'm not getting to this here because this is not measurable. It is a feeling. It is actually part of the problem in a lot of ways. So when we start asking questions like, well, why doesn't everyone just go FICOR? Or are people being blacklisted for working on non-union games during the strike? These really deal with non-measurable social feelings that can be very powerful, yes, but fall outside the bounds of what I'm trying to do here with this video, which is give as much factual clarity as I can. There are absolutely subjective social effects for doing things like being FICOR, working off the carb, not participating in a collective work refusal like what's going on with Genshin right now. There are also subjective social effects for doing things like reporting other actors who are breaking Global Rule 1, which some see as snitching, or getting involved in online arguments that explode in publicity firestorms. But since I can't define those, I really don't feel like they have a place in this video. Anyone who says they have the facts on social repercussions during a time like this is certainly definitively incorrect, because there is no such thing. But I bring it up here to let you know that actors, and I say actors here specifically because it's hard to define like a company's social influence. Actors are being influenced in their individual decisions by these social factors as well, which are very undefinable. These are questions like, if I work on Genshin during the strike, even though I'm FICOR and it's totally legal, will other actors shame me? Or, if I refuse to work,
this video is useless
recast,
anyways. Hi,
what happens to my
chat.
career? Genshin is my only big project right now, and I'm not confident in
Thank you,
my ability
for
to
the
get more
34.
work. Actors have to deal with the rumor mill just like anyone else, and it unfortunately plays a part, sometimes a large part, in everything we do. When we also run the risk of things like death threats and harassment online, it makes it even more difficult for us to make clear decisions, speak our minds, or even engage in intelligent, curious discourse with our peers or fans. I can't tell you how many of my colleagues talk about this issue behind closed doors and only behind closed doors, because out in the open, it is just a toxic mess right now. So even if you think you understand what I've said so far about contracts and union membership and the strike, California law, and all of that, there's still the very unmeasurable and very powerful social element to consider. All of the above goes into the single decision of an actor to work or not work on not just Genshin, but many, many projects. I hope you're understanding how complicated this situation is. We're dealing with laws in multiple states, multiple countries. We're dealing with the union. We're dealing with non-union independent contracts. We're dealing with fragmented AI protections, some of which are full, some of which are not. And worst of all, we're dealing with an insanely popular game.
I was expecting him to actually talk about how some of the VAs approached the social media aspect, but he just didn't. He kind of dodged it by saying it's not appropriate for this video. Because I do think the situation would have been fine if some of the VAs just didn't react in the way they did so negatively. But Fenton like you, maybe that's a smart play. Maybe he's got some connections that he doesn't want to break off by saying something. Sure, let's see this part.
What we do know is that nothing has changed for Hoyo contractually yet. And they have, in fact, recast actors who have refused to come in. They waited a while with their character silent before doing that. What they're waiting for, I'm not totally sure. We do know that Chinese companies tend to not bend to the will of the masses. They don't respond well to mob rule on social media. But we also know that other large Chinese developers have signed union contracts with no problem. Should they protect their actors from AI exploitation? Yes, absolutely. No one will argue that. It's a difficult claim to make that actors shouldn't have agency over their likeness. But will Hoyo do it without some sort of intervention law like California AB 2602 to do it for them? I'm not sure. Will a collective...
I really do wonder why. I was thinking if he's going to talk about California law, he would talk about Chinese law, but he doesn't. Because, like, I haven't seen any VAs discuss about how China has rudimentary, right, or fundamental AI laws against using voices without consent. But I don't know. Check 4 minutes and 50 seconds. What is this?
Union games. Okay, so why the hell aren't actors going in to record lines for Genshin if it's not struck? When the strike happened, many Genshin actors got together in various disparate channels and decided that now would be a good time to try to engage with Hoyo and encourage them to take some action. Actors could use the momentum, the social momentum of the SAG-AFTRA strike to include Hoyo properties in the conversation. Again though, it's not a strike, and it has nothing to do with the union. Since this is not a strike, I'm not going to call it a strike. From here on, I'm going to call it a collective work refusal, because it's not governed by any one body like SAG-AFTRA. There is no one result desired like a collective bargaining agreement, and there is no penalty for not participating, unlike the SAG-AFTRA strike. If you are a union member and you cross the line and record games you're not supposed to, you can be penalized. In a non-union environment, that doesn't exist. So, what did Genshin actors want? This is where some of the confusion kind of begins. The goal wasn't really
Why'd you tell me to
clear.
watch this point?
Some actors wanted them to sign a union agreement and flip union, become a union game.
Okay. Watch that timestamp for literally nothing. Check the first 4 comments. SAG didn't strike Hoyo. VAs themselves decided not to work because they want Hoyo to go union. It's a big bombshell. This changes everything. This video doesn't... Wait. Did he actually say... Did he actually say this? Yes? You just listened to it? Is that what I listened to? I was so focused on hearing if he talks about China.
Yes. Okay, so why the hell aren't actors going in to record lines for Genshin if it's not struck? When the strike happened, many Genshin actors got together in various disparate channels and decided that now would be a good time to try to engage with Hoyo and encourage them to take some action. Actors could use the momentum, the social momentum of the SAG-AFTRA strike to include Hoyo properties in the conversation. Again though, it's not a strike, and it has nothing to do with the union. Since this is not a strike, I'm not going to call it a strike. From here on, I'm going to call it a collective work refusal, because it's not governed by...
But doesn't this make even less sense if China already has laws against using voices without consent? And it's not even a strike? Then it's just like the VAs were just ill-informed and just decided to do something that makes no sense? I'm so confused now. Like, it doesn't even make sense. Now, this guy's talking about Chinese AI law as well. Like, it makes very little sense, man. Like, as far as I understand, in China, they won't use your voice for AI unless you consent to it. There have been cases in China where a voice actor consented to a company using their voice, whether to fill in for something or like something like that with AI. Like, I've literally seen that, but like, again, with consent, right? If the VA doesn't consent to it, it's literally against Chinese law. This is why watching the whole video is important. It goes over why. Yeah, but they talk about the China thing. All right, I'll watch the rest of this off stream. I'm gonna assume he most likely doesn't, because from every single time anybody talks about the subject, no one is talking about Chinese law.
I don't know if you've seen this
Chinese
already,
game,
but I remember you
which is very
asking how
confusing.
exactly Taft-Hartley works for SAG, and it might be relevant to why they want Hoyo to be union. So I found this interview with strike captains in which they explain it. Link.
No, I understand how Taft-Hartley stuff worked. I already did a lot of research on that. Like, I already understand how it works. Am I gonna skip Castros, or your moral floor is too low? Tomfoolery. Shut your stupid fucking mouth, idiot. Stop trying to instigate. He does go into that, saying some people even have AI protection in America too, Cali law, but they don't get protected from AI training or mixing. I mean, I suppose, but how does anybody combat that? It's like companies that make laws against using other people's, like, it's like countries making laws against using other people's like images for image training, but people still do. Like, it's something that's borderline impossible to police, right? Like, I don't know. At least for me, it seems like it's something very, very hard to police. How do you police that? It's like you borderline need to thought police, right? I don't know. Government laws and controls, but that will never happen in Trump admin. It's not even about that. It's like Texas banning Pornhub. But I bet you tons of people in Texas are watching Pornhub. It's like that. Like, government bans don't exactly do anything. You know, porn sites are banned in South Korea. South Koreans still watch porn because a VPN exists. And South Korean police cannot, like, police that. Like, it's impossible, right? Yes, littering is illegal. People still throw shit out their car, right? It's just a certain extent where it's, like, very hard to police. I don't know how you police image training not being trained off of copyrighted stuff as well as voice training without using VAs. Like, I feel like, yes, it's bad, 100%. But, like, how do you police that? Like, I think it's actually just impossible. Honor system? Yeah, how far does honor system go with humans? Like, right? It's not exactly easy. Investigation requires, like, actual, like, there needs to be something to initiate the investigation, right? If it's just based on literally just assumptions, like, you can't, I mean, you could, but then you find yourself in positions where you just might be wrong entirely. It's hard for an American to get a hold of official Chinese law / information, especially someone not versed in finding niche-ass laws. No, it's really not. You can literally just Google Chinese AI law, and it's there. It's really not that hard. I'm gonna be honest, it's not. And I say that because I literally Googled it myself on stream. We also used ChatGPT to understand Chinese law and explain it to me about AI. Like, There are many tools to fucking help you understand another country's law without exactly being able to like read it all, you know? What the fuck is this?
So when you did get to LA, how did you get into SAG?
I was forced into it.
There was a court case in China and the VA won the case with 250k yuan as compensation.
Yeah, it's like I said, right? Like, China has the laws in place, right? So it makes even less sense as to why this is a thing, but
my first like on camera thing was Aquila and the Bee, where I had a few lines, and then actually like at that time I was flying back and forth from Seattle to LA, and then I actually booked a movie in Seattle. And while I was on set for that movie was when I was what's called a must join, because it's when you work within SAG at some point, like the first job you have in SAG, you're SAG eligible at that point. And I didn't join right away because it's really expensive. And then I booked that movie, and then because I worked a certain amount of hours, you have to work a certain amount of hours in SAG, and then you become what's called a must join, and you have to join to be able to work on SAG projects again, and I was in the middle of the movie, so I had to join to keep working on that movie.
I mean, this doesn't really tell us anything. I mean, it doesn't really tell us anything. I mean, sure, she was forced to join, but like, we already know about the fucking laws on that. She stated that everyone wanted to join the union, but here she was forced to join. Maybe she was, I mean, I'm giving her like insane benefit of the doubt here. Maybe she was just trying to explain what like the must join stuff is, you know? Like, I'm giving her a little bit of benefit of the doubt, but, what is this? How it feels to lie for no reason.
I'm